Hello and welcome to day 5 of Atomic Habits. So, yesterday we had studied the 4 habit loop cue, carving, response, reward. We will continue that. Page number 51. The, the, the 4-step process is not something that happens occasionally, but rather it is an endless feedback loop that is running and activated during every moment you are alive. Even now, brain is continuously scanning the environment, predicting what you will happen next, trying out different response and learning from the result. The entire process is complete in a split of seconds. We use it again and again without realizing everything that has been packed into the previous moments. We can split these 4 steps into 2 phases: the problem phase and solution phase. The problem phase includes the cue and the carving, and it is when you realize that something needed to change. The solution phase includes the response and the reward, and it is when you take an action and achieve the change you desire. All behavior is driven by a desire to solve the problem. Sometimes the problem is that you notice something good and you want to be obtain it. Sometimes the problem is that you are experiencing the pain and you want to relieve it. Some again repeating the statement. Sometimes the problem is that you are experiencing the pain and you want to relieve it. Either way, the purpose of our habit, every habit, is to solve the problems you face. In the table on the following page, you can see a few examples uh, of what this look like in real life. Imagine walking into a dark room and flipping on the light switch. You have performed this simple habit so many times that it occurs without thinking. You proceed through all 4 stages in the fraction of seconds. The urge to act strike you without thinking. By the time we become adults, we rarely notice the habits that are. Your phone buzzes with a next text message. You want to learn the context of the message. Grab your phone and read the text. You satisfy the carving to read the message. Grabbing your phone become associated with your phone buzzing. You answering the emails. You begin to feel stress and overwhelming by the work. To feel in control. You bite your nails. You satisfy carving to reduce the stress. Biting your nails become associated with answering the emails. You wake up. You don't feel alert. Want you want to feel alert. You drink a cup of coffee. You satisfy your carving to feel alert. Drinking coffee become associated with waking up. You smell a donut shop as you walk down the street near your office. You begin to carve a donut. You buy a donut and eat. You satisfy the carving to eat donut. Buying donut become associated with the walking down the street near your office. Problem phase solution. The cue. You hit a stumble block on a project at work. You feel stuck and want to relieve your frustration. You pull out your phone and check the social media. You satisfy your carving to feel relief. Checking social media become associated with feeling stalled at work. This we usually do. You walk into a dark room. You want to see, want to be able to see. You flip the light switch. You satisfy your carving to see. Turn on light switch become associated with being a dark room. Running your life Most of us never give a second thought to the fact that we tie the same shoe first each morning, or unplug the toaster after each use, or always change into comfortable clothes after getting home from work. After decades of mental programming, we automatically slip into this pattern of thinking and acting. These four laws of behavior change. In the following chapters, we will see the time and again how the four stages of cue, carving, response, reward, and reward influence nearly everything we do today. But before we do that, we need to transform these four steps into practical framework that we can use to design good habits and eliminate bad ones. Again, I repeat. Before we do this, we need to transform these four steps into practical framework that we can use to redesign good habits and eliminate the bad ones. I refer this framework as a four laws of behavior change, and it provides a simple set of rules for creating good habits and breaking the bad ones. Once you can think of each law has a lever that influence human behavior. When the lever are in the right positions, creating good habit is effortless. When they are in the wrong positions, it is nearly impossible. First the first law, Q, make it obvious. Second law, make it attractive. Third law, make it easy. Fourth law, make it satisfying. We can convert these laws to learn how to break a bad habit. Inversion of the first law, make it invisible. Inversion of second law, carving, make it unattractive. Inversion of third law, make it difficult. Inversion of fourth law, make it unsatisfying. It will be irresponsible for me to claim that these four laws are an exhaustive framework for changing any human behavior. But I think they are close. As you will soon see, these four laws of behavior change apply to nearly every field, from the food, sports to politics, arts to medicines, comedy to management. These laws are be used no matter what challenge you are facing. This is no need for completing different strategies for each habit. How can I make it obvious? How can I make it attractive? How can I make it easy? And how can I make it satisfying? I will also try this to make the good habits and eliminate the bad ones. Today I will list some of my habits. Okay. We will continue to do. If you have ever wondered why don't I do what I say I am going to do? Why don't I lose the weight or stop smoking or save for the retirement or start a side business? What why do I sometimes is important but never seems to make time for it? The answer to those questions can be found somewhere in these four laws. The key to create good habits and breaking bad ones is to understand these fundamental law and how to alter them to specifications. Every goal is doomed to fail if it goes against the brain of a human nature. Your habits are shaped by the system in your life. In the chapter that follows, we will discuss these laws one by one and show how you can use them to create a system in which good habits emerge naturally and bad ones wither away. Summary. A habit is a behavior that has been repeated enough time to become automatic. Ultimate process of a habit is to solve the problem of a life with as little energy and efforts as possible. Any habit can be broken down into feedback loop. that involves four steps: cue, carving, response, reward. Four law of behavior change are simple set of rules we can use to build better habits. They make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Now, the first law, make it obvious. The man who didn't look right. The psychologist Gary Kelly once told me the story about a woman who attended a family gathering. She spent years working as a paramedic and upon arrival at the event took one look at her father-in-law and got very concerned. I don't like the way you look, she said. Father-in-law, who was feeling perfectly fine, jokingly replied, well, I don't like your look either. No, see instead, you need to go to hospital now. A few hours later, man was undergoing a life-saving surgery for an examination. Have revealed that he had a blockage in a major artery and was an immediate risk of a heart attack. Without his daughter-in-law instead, he would have died. That is a paramedic C. How did she predict an impedance heart attack? When major arteries are obstructed, the body focuses on sending blood to a critical organs and the way of peripheral locations near the surface of a skin. The result is changing in the pattern of distribution of blood in the face. After many years of work with people with heart failure, woman has unknowingly developed the ability to recognize the pattern of sight. She could not explain what it was that she noticed in her father-in-law face, but she knew something was wrong. Similarly, stories exist in other fields. For example, military analysts can identify which blip of a radar is an enemy missile and which one is the plane from their own fleet. Even though they are traveling at the same speed, flying at the same altitude and identical on radar in nearly every aspect. During the Gulf War, Lieutenant Commander Michael Lee saved an entire battleship when she ordered a missile shot down. Despite the fact that it looked exactly like the battleship own plane on the radar, she made it right call. But even as superior officer could not explain how he did it. Museum curators have been known to discern the difference between an authentic piece of art and expertly produced counterfeit, even though they can't tell you precisely which detail tipped them off. Experiencing radiologist can look at a brain scan and predict the area where the stroke will develop before an obvious signal are visible to the untrained eye. I even heard a hairdresser noticing whether a client is pregnant based on the feel of her hair. The human brain is predicting machine. It continuously takes in a surrounding and analyze the information it's come across. Whenever we experience something repeatedly, like a paramedic seeing the face of a heart attack patient or a military analyst seeing a missile on the radar screen, your brains begin to notice what is important, sorting the details and highlighting the relevant cue and cataloging the information for future use. With enough practice, you can pick up on the cue and predict certain outcomes without consequently thinking about it. Automatically, your brain encoded the lesson learning through the experience. We can't always explain it what it is we learning, but learning is happen all along the way. And your ability to notice relevant cue in a given situation is the foundation of every habit you have. You underestimate how much your brain and bodies can do without thinking. You do not tell your hair to grow, your heart to pump, your lungs to breathe, and your stomach to digest. And yet, your bodies handle all of these more, more in autopilot. You are much more than you are conscious self. Consider hunger. How do you know when you are hunger? You don't necessarily have to see cookies on the counter to realize that it is a time to eat. Appetite and hunger are governed non-consciously. Our bodies has a variety of feedback loops that gradually alert you when it is time to eat again and the track what is going on around and within you. Carving can arise thanks to the hormones and chemicals circulating through your body. Suddenly your hungers even thought you are not quite sure what wipe of which of you. This is one of the most surprising insights about your habits. You don't need to be aware of you for a habit to begin. You can notice an opportunity and take an action without dedicating consequence attentions to it. This is what makes powerful useful. It's also what makes them dangerous. As habits forms, your actions come under the directions of automatic and non-conscious mind. You fall into a patterns before you realizing what is happening. Unless some points is out, you may not notice that you cover your mouth with your hand whenever you laugh. That's apologize before asking a question, or that you have a habit of finishing others people's sentence. And the more you repeat this pattern, the less likely you become to the question what you are doing and why you are doing it. I once heard of a retail clerk who was instructed to put up empty gift cards after the customer had put the balance on the card. One day, the clerk flashed off a few customers in row who purchased with the gift card. With the next person walk up, the clerk wiped the customer's actual credit card, pick up the scissor and then cut it in half entirely in autopilot. Before looking up at a stunning customer and realizing what had happened just happened. Another woman I came across my search was former preschool teacher who had switched to the corporate job. Even though she was not working with adults, her old habit would sink in and she kept asking co-workers if they had washed their hands after going to a bathroom. I also found the story of a man who had spent the years working as a lifeguard and would occasionally walk whenever she saw a running child. Over the time, the cues that spark our habits become so common that they are necessarily invisible. The treat on kitchen counter, the remote control next to the couch, the phone in your pocket. Our responses to the cues are so deeply encoded that it may feel like urge to act. Come for now ever. For the reason we must begin the process of behavior change with awareness. Before we effectively build new habits, we need to handle our current ones. This this is this can be more challenging. Again, I repeat this. Before we can effectively build a new habits, we need to handle our current ones. This is this can be more challenging than it sounds because one habit is firmly rooted in our life. It is most unconscious and automatic. If the habits remain mindless, you can't expect to improve it. A psychologist Gum, Carl Gum said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. We will stop here now. We will continue the habits core tomorrow. Night everyone. Bye.